Welcome to the Rangers Roads audio series, brought to you by freeconference.com and the Regimental Council of the Queen's York Rangers, 1st American Regiment, located in Toronto and Aurora, Ontario. We hope you enjoy your experience as you listen to the passage, St. Mary's Churchyard, London, UK, the unmarked grave of Robert Rogers. The Rangers Roads stories are written and recorded by members of the Queen's York Rangers family.
Buried nearby in a pauper's grave is one of the most celebrated military men of the 18th century, Robert Rogers. His name is still well known in the United States, where his exploits occurred. During the 7 Years' War, newspaper readers in Boston, New York, Philadelphia, and even in London thrilled to reports of his heroic exploits. Leading his band of Rangers against the French and their indigenous allies, his military actions were closely followed by many admirers in contemporary newspapers. His opponents nicknamed him the White Devil. He also worked to embellish his exploits and enhance his reputation by writing 2 books and producing a play. Under closer examination, Rogers was a very complicated man. As a teenager, he fought as a member of the New Hampshire militia, gaining early respect of his peers. He was also involved with a gang of counterfeiters and would be accused of fraud and financial mismanagement throughout his life. In part, this was because he was personally responsible to pay, feed, clothe, and house his soldiers, and had great difficulty accounting for the monies that were spent and claiming reimbursement from the crown. An attempt after the war to right his finances through gambling led him to total ruin. Hoping to gain royal favor, he traveled to London and obtained an appointment as the governor of Fort Michilimackinac, a distant fur trading post. This appointment ended with his arrest for treason, after a jealous subordinate swore falsely that Rogers was colluding with the French. Rogers was dragged to Montreal in chains and was then acquitted. These troubles and his inability to gain favor from the crown led him to raise another military unit. Unrest in the 13 colonies meant that there was a degree of competition for his services, as many former Rangers were now rebels while others remained loyal to the crown. At this point in his life, Rogers was suffering from alcoholism and his behavior was erratic and licentious. He was arrested by rebels as a spy, escaped, and endeavored to raise a regiment in support of the British Army. This unit, the Queen's Rangers, went on to very distinguished service during the Revolutionary War. It was not commanded for long by Rogers, as his methods and behavior had led to his dismissal. As it was unsafe for him to remain in the colonies as a private citizen, he returned to London as a penniless supplicant. Finding many doors now closed to him, he lived in squalor. In 1795, he died in obscurity and debt, and was buried in an unmarked pauper's grave. Nonetheless, the legend of his early exploits live on in a number of military units still serving today: Canada's Queen's York Rangers, the U.S. Army Rangers, and the newly formed British Ranger Regiment.
We hope you enjoyed learning about St. Mary's Churchyard, London, UK, the unmarked grave of Robert Rogers. To learn more about the Regimental Council of the Queen's York Rangers, visit www.qyrang.ca.